The show kicks off with a scene between Sierra, Bambi, and Jessica. Apparently, Scrappy has a new baby on the way, but he's not quite following the parental agreement between him and Bambi. I kind of believe Bambi when she says Scrappy's kind of a loose cannon and wants to come see the kids when it's not his turn, and it's kind of random and does what he wants to do, because when he's on the screen, he kind of gives off that vibe that that's his personality. I like the fact that Sierra is promoting the fact that she has a new seasoning. She's always in the kitchen cooking throughout this particular episode, and I think that's very smart of her. Bambi starts to complain about Carly Red and saying she's messy. And in my mindset, I'm like, girl, we know. We've seen her for many seasons, and that's her reputation and that's her personality. So I don't know why all of a sudden that's a surprise. Next, they did a voting collage, which I thought was a very responsible way to use the platform. The next scene up is Yandy, Mendices, and Little Mendices. Little Mendices brings up seeing that on the blogs his parents are cheating. I thought this was cool as a scene because I always wonder when the blogs talk about people, how does it affect the kids? Do they read it? Do they see it? Do they ask their parents questions? Like, is it true or not? How does it affect them when they go to school? I thought that was really inventive to bring that to the screen so we could see the inner workings of how that goes. Then they move on to the topic that Little Mendices doesn't want to go to college. Mendices is very serious that he wants Little Mendices to go to college. Yandy's on the fence about it because Little Mendices does YouTube and he's being a success on there. I agree with Mendices. I think he should go to college because at the end of the day, I don't think anyone should really rely on social media as their sole income and as their sole way of making money. Because at the end of the day, social media can be fickle. I mean, look at what happened with TikTok. I mean, they were about to take it away. So all of those people who were depending on TikTok were about to lose their source of income. For all you know, YouTube could go away. Also, with the way algorithms work and shadow banning, you may make a certain amount of money one month and then it totally changes the next month based on the app doing things behind the scenes. So I think doing social media is a cool hobby, but I don't suggest that anybody does it as their full-time gig, unless you've already established a following. I would suggest Little Mendices going to modeling, like hair modeling or clothes modeling. You know, he's a good looking kid with a cool hairstyle. I could see that for him because it's true that this generation, they just have a different mindset from those of us who come from the old school. Like, we believe you're supposed to work a 9 to 5 for 30 some odd years and then retire and pass away shortly after. This generation, they're more focused on their time and doing what they want to do. They don't want to really work the way we used to. They just don't subscribe to the same beliefs. And it's true that people can start their own business. They can come up with a new way to bring money in. So I do hear his side of things, but I think he should definitely have the degree to fall back on. So I agree with Mendices on that. Next, we have a scene between Amy and Spice and Ashley. Spice is thinking about managing Bonnie Rex, who has some drama with Carly Red. I guess she slept with Carly Red's ex, and Carly Red kind of put a restraining order on her. So I kind of think it's messy for Spice to manage somebody that has some drama with Carly. Ashley talks about Zane being a flirt and how she wants to leave him. And Amy tells her that she should have boundaries and bottom lines in the relationship. I like how Spice is saying she's confused by the whole relationship. She's not sure if this is a real committed marriage or if it's all for show and all just fake. The next thing is between Carly Red and Tilo. Carly Red has been arguing back with some women on social media and kind of spilled that they had gotten married, which was supposed to be a secret. And Carly was like, they fumbled him. But in my eyes, did they really fumble? I mean, is he really the prince that you think he is? Tilo starts to say that he's tired of having to relieve himself in a cup for the IVF process for Carly Red. And in my mind, you knew Carly Red was 1,000 years old when you married her. Why would you expect her to go through the IVF process? She literally already have children that are senior citizens. So at the end of the day, Carly Red is a nana. Fix her a bowl of green jello, sit her down in her rocking chair, get her Polydent for her dentures, and move on. Shavana! The next scene is Mama D's birthday. I like the fact that it's kind of like a hood party. You see the punch and the ribs. It's like a really down-to-earth type of a party. It's not pretentious or anything like that. I thought that was pretty cool. Jock, Zane, and Scrappy are at the party. And in Mama D's confessional, she throws a jab at Sierra and Bambi. She said that they've had plastic surgery and they're the tight face crew. I think Mama D is really slamming it out of the park as far as the interview confessionals. The other girls could learn a thing or two from Mama D. She's the star in this show. I like when they started talking about Mama D's back surgery. She said they would have to stop your heart when they give you anesthesia. Jock had to use Siri in order to confirm that, and it turns out that she had it wrong. And then next they move into a scene with Imani, and Imani is like telling her dad he's starting over, having a new baby. She wants to meet the baby's mom, and then Mama D goes, he has to get a fraternity test. Once again, Mama D is really blowing it away in the confessional and in the scene. She's funny, she's shady. All of the rest of them really look at what she's doing. She makes the show entertaining. Then we move on to the next scene with Lil Mendices. Mendices and Yandy walk in, and he's doing a YouTube video showing off his shoes. And it goes back to what I said before. I think fashion is what he really should move into. And once again, they're hammering home that they want him to go to college. Yandy shows him her sweater from Howard University. They want to take him on a college tour, and he agrees to go on it. My thing is, I really like Yandy Mendices and Lil Mendices. I like their scenes together. I think they're an interesting family, but I think they should move on from the college storyline. I would like to see them do more than just hammering home that particular storyline. But I like them as a unit. I think it's interesting. And I think maybe the parents will kind of join in on the YouTube with them. I mean, you know, I like seeing those three on the screen. Then the scene moves on to Spice and Jock. Jock is doing a podcast. I kind of like how Lil Mendices was shooting a YouTube video. He had his editor there. Young Jock is promoting his podcast. You got Sierra promoting her cooking. I like the fact that they're using the platform to really put themselves out there. So anyway, Spice sits down to talk with Jock about her albums that she has coming out. And she had an idea to do like a Jamaican style album with the whole cast, each of them having the same beat, and they all will do a different song to it. I think that's a pretty inventive idea, and it really would bring out creativity because everybody has the same beat and you can see whose pen is better than the other. So I think that that's great. But once they start getting into the conversation and Jock kind of starts to mix up some of the past things that happened and kind of talk about this diss track that him and Spice had done together, and then Spice points out that the biggest record in the country is a diss track. I know she's referring to Kendrick Lamar and Not Like Us. And then he starts to kind of cut her off, and so then Spice goes, whenever I talk, you stop me, but you get to say whatever you want to. Oh no. And then she left the scene abruptly, and production tried to get her to stay, and she just ended the whole podcast. Then the scene goes back to Mama D. She's going to the hospital to get her back surgery. I like in the confessional she referenced Kaya, my neck, my back. And she even had an emotional moment when Scrappy said a prayer and she was crying and tears was coming out. That was really touching. Then they go on to the next scene. It's Ashley and Zane. Ashley packed up to leave Zane actually because he refused to wear a ring, and she think that he's always flirting and not really taking the relationship seriously. Zane's skin is really rough. When the camera's on him, it looks like he needs to have some microdermabrasion. And he said he doesn't come home late at night because he's working hard in the studio. And I'm like, working on what? Shabana! We haven't heard any Lil Zane music since the 70s. So what exactly is he working on where he can't come home on time? I don't know. Auntie. So then he decides that he will leave and not her. And my thing is, why do they have to separate? Why can't they just be in a different room maybe? Because if he goes to stay somewhere else and he's already a flirt, what do you think he's gonna do if he's not in your eyesight? So I don't see how separating was gonna help the situation. So then he got his bag, he left, and he gave her the key so he can't come in and out. So then it moves on to the final scene. Sierra once again was cooking. I think she's doing a good job of promoting her seasoning and her food, because watching her cook on the show makes me want to taste what it is that she's making. So it's great promotion. The scene also includes Jessica the model, Bambi, and Carly. Jessica says Carly asked her to come live with her and then talked about her behind her back and said that she didn't like having her there. My thing is, as an adult, when you come to stay with another person, in one way or another, you're going to inconvenience that person after a while. So I don't know why that's a surprise that Carly would be talking about you when you're inconveniencing her by staying with her. And then Carly also said in the confessional that she didn't even say thank you. Sierra apologizes to them for being a selfish brat as a friend and said that she was going through some things. While she's talking, I don't like the confessional look that Sierra has. It looks like a little girl with pink bows, like a quinceanera. I think that she should change into something else. Jessica the model is having a drink, and Carly tells her in the IVF process you shouldn't be having any drinks. Carly also pulls it up on Google to prove what she was saying and back it up. And as they get into an argument, Carly throws out there like, you think you know everything about IVF? And this really sets Jessica off, and she has a confessional crying about it. My thing is, if she really cares about the IVF process to the point to where she would be crying about it, why is she drinking wine during it when that's not conducive to the entire process? That kind of confused me a little bit. Also, I think Carly apologized to Bambi. Bambi accepted the apology when they were out of town, and now she's kind of reneging and going back on it. And she's taking the things that Carly says in interviews personally. When you know Carly's whole MO. We've known Carly for many, many seasons. Like, we know she's a messy person. We know she's gonna do and say whatever as a cast member on the show. So I don't know why it's surprising that she would talk about you in an interview. And I don't even know why are they even worried when somebody has something to say about you in interviews. It's like, once you put your life out there, everybody's gonna have an opinion. So then the model Jessica starts to yell, and she threw something at Carly and was kind of out of control and emotional. And it's not a good look. It's not a professional look. I mean, Naomi Campbell and Tyra Banks would never. I don't think it's good promotion for her as a model to be behaving in that way. I also like the final dig that Bambi took at Carly. She said she was 50 years old and trying to have a keep a man baby. That was a low blow, and it was pretty funny. I liked it. I like how she pointed out that Carly's half 100. That was great. All in all, I give this episode a C. I liked it. It was mildly enjoyable. It had its funny moments through Mama D's confessional. It had its emotional moments through Mama D's tears when Scrappy said the prayer for her. It had its dramatic moments through the Jessica, Bambi, Carly, and Sierra scene. And it had its reads through Mama D in the confessional. So with that being said, the MVP of this particular episode definitely was Mama D, because she's like a seasoned pro at this. Probably the least valuable player, I would have to say, is Jessica. Her behavior wasn't a good look, and I don't think her personality is coming across well on the show. I'm also trying to figure out why is she there. She's a model. The show's called Love and Hip Hop. And if she's not attached to any hip hop and she's not in love right now, why is she even there? That's what I'm thinking.